If you are in finance and thinking of moving into an FP&A role because you've heard that it has good work-life balance and less stress, then this video is for you. By the end of this, you will exactly know what your life will look like in FP&A, when are the slow and the busy periods, and most importantly, three practical ways to protect your evenings, weekends, and sanity. If you don't know this, you might be walking into a job that burns you out. Or even worse, a good role you could reject because you believed one of the myths. I'll give you my honest picture based on experience of working in FP&A for over a decade in four different roles so that you can make the right choice for your career and for your life. First, let us start talking about the up and down nature of FP&A, the calm months and the busy period or the storms that you cannot avoid. Most of the year, FP&A is a steady role. I would say about 40 to 50 hours a week. You are reviewing reports, updating forecasts, and meeting with business teams. Think of it like cruising on a highway. You are moving, but at a manageable pace. But there are certain dates on the calendar that change everything. First is the month end close. Usually, typically happens once in a month during the end of the month or the beginning of the month, which could increase your working hours to 50 to 55 hours on an average per week. Similar bump happens on quarter ends depending on the reporting needs of the organization. Budget season is a big one where it typically goes from 40 to 50 hours a week to sometimes 60 to 65 hours a week, and that is usually for a period of 1 to 2 months in most organizations. These spikes happen every year at the same time. Month end is literally the same dates each month, and the budget season is locked months in advance. What that means is that you can plan ahead. You can book rest time before the busy period starts or take a vacation after the busy season to get a refresher. FP&A isn't crazy all year around, but the spikes are real and they can be intense. So compared to other finance jobs, is this really better? So for a minute, let us compare FP&A with other popular finance roles. First, let us talk about comparison with investment banking. What I've heard is people in investment banking usually work for 70 to 100 hours a week, and it is typically unpredictable that you could be even called at a midnight, and there is constant traveling as well. The work there feels like sprinting a marathon every single day. I've seen so many bright people move out of investment banking after making good money in a few years and get into a leadership roles for a better work life balance. Second, let us talk about comparison with public accounting and auditing roles. Public accounting and auditing roles typically are busier, and you're working on different clients, different projects, typically 60 to 80 hours a week constantly for most of the year. It is a long grind without much recovery. Coming to FP&A, it is the middle ground. Spikes here are shorter, predictable, and tied to business cycles. You can plan your life around them, but remember, not all FP&A roles are equal. Your reality could depend on many other factors like company culture, industry, company size, public or a private company, and your role and designation. But I would say out of all of these factors, company culture is one of the most important factor that decides whether you're getting home for dinner or staying late in office every night. If you are serious about growing your career in FP&A, then do check out our Certified Global FP&A Professional Program. CGFPA is a 6-month accredited certification in FP&A designed to help you become real business partners. If that sounds something you would be interested in, links are in the description. Also, there are a bunch of free resources that you can download on FP&A, including books and free courses. You will find all the links in the description. Now, two people with the exact same title can have completely different lives in a big organization compared to a small and growing startup. Big companies typically have stricter deadlines, but there are more people to share the work. Compare that to a startup or a fast growing company. There are flexible hours in some weeks, but lots and lots of last minute urgent requests. I spoke to two FP&A managers, one in a Fortune 500 company and one in a fast growing e commerce startup. The Fortune 500 company manager left by 6 or 7 p.m. most of the days. However, the startup manager regularly stayed in the office till 10 p.m. during the budget season especially. So you see, same title but a totally different life. Now, culture and the company size can decide the expectations, but FP&A tools are the one thing that could decide how heavy the workload actually feels. Now, many FP&A teams waste 25 to 40% of their week on repetitive manual work, which is copy pasting data, formatting spreadsheets, and chasing for inputs. There are so many tools that are available these days in the market that could help automate all of that. For example, I know a tool called Adaptive or Workday that can pull data automatically. Power Query and Alteryx can help you clean and prepare data faster. Power BI or a Tableau can make dashboards automatically. It is like going from washing clothes by hand to using a machine. The job gets done much faster and with less effort. But even with the automation tool, if you don't set boundaries, you could just get filled with more and more requests. Here are some boundary setting strategies that have worked personally for me. First, set clear rules for how quickly you would respond to requests. Second, send reports early than the scheduled time to avoid last minute chaos. And third, use after hours auto replies outside your peak times so that people are informed that you are not available for requests or work. For example, one analyst tracked all overtime for 3 months. Turns out that one department caused almost half the late night work. They showed the data to the leadership, the deadlines changed, and suddenly evenings were free again. So remember, the culture sets the tone, the tools tighten the load, but boundaries protect your time. Even with all of these three, if the busy periods are getting too close together, there is another danger. Next, let us talk about burnout, which is an important point that could affect your work life balance. Now, burnout doesn't affect all at once, it starts building slowly. Here are some warning signs. You start dreading Sunday nights more than usual. You make mistakes that you never used to do. You start getting sick or lose patience easily. Why this is common in FP&A roles? Because of the cycle of high intensity work followed by short recovery breaks that can wear you down over years. The solutions most companies or teams use: mandatory time offs after the budget season, hiring temporary staff during the busy period to manage the workload, and rotating on call responsibilities. Next, let us talk about how things can change as you become more senior in FP&A roles. As you move up in FP&A ladder, your hours change, but so does your control over your time. Not a rule of thumb, but generally speaking, hours usually go up as you become more senior in the organization or if you are managing more people. Here is a quick ballpark. Analysts usually spend between 40 to 45 hours, which are focused on building models, reports, and presentations. FP&A managers would spend anywhere between 45 to 55 hours, and they have more meetings and reviews to be done. Directors or VPs would spend anywhere between 55 to 60 hours a week. They have board preparation and bigger decisions, more responsibility compared to managers. Here is why delegation matters. Leaders who train their team to own their routine work free up time for strategic thinking and avoid being always on. The best time to protect your work life balance is before even you start the job. So ask specific measurable questions during your interviews. Here are some examples. How many weekends did you work during the last year? What are the forecasting tools do you usually use? How many people are in your FP&A team? And watch out for hesitation when answering, pride in working long hours, and no mention of automation. Here's a bonus tip. You can also message someone who's already in the team and then ask them the same questions to see if the answers match. Here is the truth: FP&A normal weeks are manageable, but the busy periods are real. Culture, tools, and boundaries would decide whether it is sustainable or not. You can plan for the peaks, but only if you know when they are coming. And if you want me to cover more FP&A interview questions that you have faced and found it difficult, do drop them in the comments below. I'll definitely pick it up and create a video like this. Also, don't forget to check out a bunch of free resources, including books, free courses, and templates on FP&A. Visit www.fpnaprofessionals.com. If you like this video, do hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.